Another year, another shot at the title.
It feels like just yesterday, Phoenix capped off a dramatic run to their first USL Championship title. Those memories will live forever, but it's time to focus on the now.
Though 2023 was a year to remember, 2024 can be even better. 24 clubs head into the season hopeful, optimistic, and desperate to get underway.
Who will be a contender? Who's a pretender? We'll figure all that out in the next 8 months, but now we'll preview some clubs and players you need to keep an eye on. I'm Sarah Kate here with Datti, and we've got some topics to share with you. This is Hat Trick. Let's start off with title contenders for 2024. First up, we have the Charleston Battery. They had the biggest turnaround in league history. They eliminated Indy, Birmingham, and Louisville and made it to the 2023 championship final, but fell to Phoenix in penalties. What do you have for them in 2024?
2023 was a great year for Charleston, but I think 2024 could be the year they get over the hump. And here's how. They got a lot of key returners coming back, notably Nick Marcanic. I think he had 11 goals across the regular season and playoffs last year. He loves to create havoc for the other team's back line. He loves to get forward. He's a big difference maker.
So 2023 Young Player of the Year, Fidel Barajas, goalkeeper Trey Muse, longtime defender AJ Patterson are all out this year. How does that play into their upcoming season?
Well, Charleston was able to make some key additions, most notably midfielder Aaron Malloy. He's a two-time first-team All-League selection. He loves to create opportunities. He loves to get forward as well, but he's also not afraid to make tackles. It was a really good two-way addition. They also added Adam Grinwis, goalkeeper as well, for Jake LaCava, and defender Graham Smith. All these guys have good championship experience as well. So I think Charleston could find themselves in a good spot.
Yeah. So now you cannot have a list like this without adding your defending champs. That would just be insulting. So of course we have to include Phoenix Rising FC on this list. No team has ever had a crazier run through the USL Championship playoffs. They won 4 road games with all of them coming down to the wire. Thoughts?
They're going to be a new-look team in many ways this year. Manuel Arteaga, Danny Trejo are gone. They were a big part of their attack. I think they combined for 34 goals and 14 assists. Also, midfielder Carlos Harvey, who was really big in that midfield, especially down the stretch of the season. He's off to Minnesota United as well. So they are going to look a little different.
So who's in this season?
They have brought in Edgardo Rizzo, who's one of the top wing backs in the league over the past few years. They also have JP Skiers, who's been a really good player in League One, and Remy Cabral, who's a top striker in MLS Next Pro. They also brought in Pat Marboy, who had a really good freshman year at Clemson. He's a national champion. He's a really interesting addition, as well as Juan Carlos Azócar, who scored some of the best goals in USL Championship history. So
now what do you think about the players that Phoenix is bringing back this year?
I think one of their key returners is Derek Formella. They acquired him mid-season from Oakland. He had 6 goals, and he was really big down the stretch. They're also bringing back Emil Cuello. Who could forget his 2 postseason bangers? He was really big for them in the playoffs. As well as Panos Armenakis. He adds another dimension to their attack. They acquired him mid-season from Loudoun. So I think with these guys, as well as some other key returners, Phoenix could find themselves in a good position to maybe repeat.
So our other title favorite, Sacramento Republic FC. They were at the top of the West almost all season last year, knocked out 2022 champs San Antonio FC in the postseason, but their season ended with a loss to Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals. But are they primed for another strong season this year?
I think so. I think a big thing for them is their lack of turnover. They do have 4 all-league selections coming back, Jack Kerr, Connor Donovan, Danny Vidiello, and Russell Cicerone, as well as just so many other key squad members. So the familiarity is there.
So what do you think their biggest strength was last year that they're bringing into 2024?
I think you could definitely argue that their defense was their biggest strength. I think they conceded only 26 goals in the regular season, which is the fewest in the league. But their attack wasn't too shabby either, Sarah Kate. I think Russell Cicerone was a big part of that. He had 17 goals across the regular season and playoffs last year.
Let's talk a little bit about their new signings.
They're bringing in League One Golden Boot winner Trevor Amon. They haven't had to make too much of a splash in the transfer market, but bringing him early was a real statement of intent. So it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to the championship. They've also brought in Jonathan Ricketts, who's a nice two-way wingback who should compete for time in the lineup, as well as Jared Mazzola, who's really good in League One with Greenville.
Now let's talk about dark horses that could contend for the 2024 title. We'll start off with Orange County SC. Finishing bottom in the West in 2022. We thought that's where they were headed in 2023. Then some magic happened. They beat Sacramento 1-0 at home, never looked back. They win 8 matches in a row at one point before securing the 2 seed in the West, and they eventually made it to the Western Conference semis.
You know, Sarah Kate, what was key for them down the stretch was their defensive stability. They only conceded 9 goals in the final 3 months of the regular season. And honestly, 4 of those came in one game. So there were a lot of clean sheets down the stretch. So it's big for them that the center back partnership of Dylan Powers and Marcus Nakeem is back, as well as fullback Owen Lamb. They're also bringing back Colin Shuttler in goal, and they're also adding depth with Duran Faree, who's a US U17 national team goalkeeper. The game-changing ability of Milan Alaski will be missed, but you got guys like Thomas Amang, who's ready to step up. He had 9 goals last season, as well as Bryce Jamieson. He's 18 years old, one of the top young talents in the league, and this could be the year he makes another step in the right direction.
So what about wildcard additions to their attack?
You know, they have brought in Ethan Zubak and Cameron Dunbar, who both scored double-digit goals for Los Dos. I think they could add a little something extra. You also got Christian Sorto coming in from Miami. He's a free kick specialist. I think he scored 2 free kicks last season, which is tied for most in the league. So don't be surprised if you see Orange County making a deep run in November.
Now, I bet nobody thought this next dark horse would be on our list. First of all, let's publicly say welcome back to the USL Championship, North Carolina FC. They had a great run last year in the 2023 League One season and were rewarded with the League One title. What is in store for them in championship?
North Carolina has a unique challenge of mixing League One standouts with guys who've already made their mark in the championship. You got guys like Olix Anderson, Rafa Menzingen, and Mikey Maldonado, who are all League One selections who are back. But they're also bringing in Paco Craig, who's a veteran leader from Miami, 5-time All-League selection, as well as Rodrigo da Costa, who has 76 combined goals and assists in his championship career. Evan Conway, who I think these two will be really good additions to the attack because, you know, he's been a reliable goal scorer in San Diego the past couple of years. You're also bringing in Colin Martin and Jinkiri Hayes, guys who are experienced and should add a little bit of stability to the midfield. So I'm not sure. North Carolina looks really interesting on paper.
Now for Hartford Athletic, another dark horse. We know they finished bottom in the East last season, but throw that all out the window. What do they have going for them this season?
You know, they've been making waves all off season, and it started with the addition of CEO Nick Sakovic, head coach Brendan Burke, and the signings came quickly after. In comes Enoch Mushigalusa, Marcus Epps, Shane Beckford, all guys who love to get forward and create opportunities in the attacking third. You also got guys like Romario Williams, Reese Buckmaster, guys who are known commodities in the USL Championship and instantly improve Hartford on paper. And then on top of that, you have versatile veterans such as Marlon Harrison and Thomas Van Kaizel, guys who are looking to reignite their careers. So this Hartford team is looking really, really intriguing.
So now let's transition to a few players that we should be keeping an eye on this season. Let's talk about some contenders for the 2024 Young Player of the Year.
Yeah, to start off with, let's go with Matthew Corcoran, 18 years old, midfielder for Birmingham Legion FC, played in 31 matches, he had a goal and 3 assists. He also played in 3 matches at the U17 World Cup. I think one of the best things about him is that he's cool, calm, and collected in the middle of the park. You also got Nate Worth, 17 years old, from FC Tulsa. And he came on really strong at the end of last year, and he scored his first professional goal in the last game of the year against Hartford. And this could be another big year for him as he continues to make his progression through the ranks. And then a bit of a wild card addition, Pat Marboy, 20 years old, from Clemson this past year. You know, he's a national champion, NCAA College Cup defensive MVP. He's really intriguing because of what he could be. It has been reported that he turned down a Generation Adidas contract, so clearly the potential is there. So we'll see what happens with him this year.
So what are your thoughts on who could be the 2024 Player of the Year?
There's so many people we could pick out, but I want to narrow it down to 3. And to start off with, let's go with Russell Cicerone. He had a great debut season in Sacramento, as we mentioned earlier. He had 17 goals, 4 assists, and if you've been around the USL Championship, you know how dangerous of an attacker Russell Cicerone is. His reputation precedes him. You know, next up we have Aaron Malloy, who's now with the Charleston Battery. As we mentioned earlier, he's a fantastic two-way player, and it'll be interesting to see how he makes the Charleston Battery tick this season. Finally, we have Cal Jennings of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. He had 19 goals last season. He reached the half-century mark in his USL Championship career. Pretty much he has everything you want from a center forward, right? Like, he works hard, he defends from the front, he gets himself in good positions, and he's a great finisher. So I think another good season from him, and he could find himself a Player of the Year finalist again.
Well, you can watch all this in action this Saturday, March 9th. Let's take a look at the first week's matchups.
There's so many good matchups, but I'm keeping my eye on 3. First on my list is the Southern Derby between NCFC and Charleston. There should be some fireworks as this rivalry gets rekindled. Also, I think that El Paso-Hartford match should be big because of the new personnel on both teams. And on top of that, I'm really excited about that Sacramento-Orange County game. I think that should be a fun marquee matchup between two clubs who finished 1 and 2 in the West last year.
Definitely think that Orange County and Sacramento match will be interesting. They've got some unfinished business, and they both want those 3 points.
Well, this has been your preseason hat trick. Watch USL Championship matches on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season starting this Saturday.